through system, and I'm only going to take about 15 minutes of your time here today, but we're going to go through some great information and strategies to keep you motivated and stay in control during these very uncertain times. And they are pretty uncertain, aren't they? So if you're finding yourself increasingly anxious about your family and your work, your business, or your health in the past few weeks, you're not alone. These are really extraordinary times, and I just want to know that I'm with you on this. And so what I want to do is I want to try and help in whatever way I can. So I want you to know that even more today, you have the power to face the challenges and determine your experience of what is happening. Because if knowledge is power, then self-knowledge is inner power. Okay, I want you to know that if knowledge is power, then self-knowledge is inner power. And that is what I want to give you today. I want to give you tools and techniques to get more self-knowledge so that you have the inner power to change your experience and to change and be in control of the things that you can control. Okay, so that's what today is all about, gaining self-knowledge so that you have inner power. So I'm going to give you 3 science-based strategies to keep motivated and stay in control during these uncertain times. But before I go into this, I'd just like to get some feedback on where you are in the world, and also to get your take on how it's affecting you. So all you can do is just in the comments below, just leave your feedback. Let me know where in the world you are. Give me some questions, and I'll try to answer them as we go through. But even if I can't answer them in these 15 minutes, I'll be coming back and checking the comments over the next few days, and we'll be able to answer them for you. So please, as I said, leave the comments there. Let us know where you are, and we'll get into it. So let's get started, and let's talk about why the science of behind why your motivational levels might be flagging, why our anxiety levels are quite high at the moment. But before we do, before we get into these strategies, it's important to first understand the neuroscience of what's actually happening inside your brain during an ongoing crisis like the COVID-19. So we're going to talk about what's called the triune brain. Now, this is quite important. This is a model created by neuroscientist Paul MacLean in the 1960s, and he wrote about it actually in a book in 1990. But I remember in the late 80s in medical school studying this and thinking, oh, this is a really cool concept. Now, I probably forgot about it for a few years because I didn't realize the amazing influence and impact it can have on my thoughts and my behaviors and my actions. But it's really, really important to understand that that these things are going on inside your brain. For instance, and it's just a model, remember, because so it's not. If you cut open my brain, for instance, you're not going to find these 3 areas, but what it is, it describes what's going on inside your brain. And there are 3 main areas, and they are the forebrain, which sits at the front of your brain, the midbrain, which is at the side, and then the reptilian brain, which sits at the back of your, on top of your spine, basically, where the spine ends and meets the skull. That's called the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. Now, the forebrain is called the neo-mammalian part of the brain. It's neo means new. It's the neocortex. It's the area where it's the seat of your intelligence and creativity. It's where you have reason, self-awareness, analysis, and planning. It's the most highly evolved part of your brain. The second part of the brain is a bit old. It's called the paleomillion, and that's what paleo means. It means old. It's that part of the brain that's really responsible for your emotions, your imagination, your dreams, rewards, pleasure and pain. Okay, so, but it's not the oldest part of the brain. The oldest part of the brain is what's called the reptilian brain, and that is really responsible for your basic instincts, but your survival. It controls your breathing, your heart rate, but more importantly, controls the fight and flight response. Now, your neo-mammalian forebrain, it likes to plan, it likes to analyze, it likes to keep things under control, and it likes to predict the future and work out what's likely to happen, which is why it really dislikes uncertainty. Your paleomammalian midbrain, it likes to seek pleasure and avoid pain. It reacts emotionally to what's going on, and it often overreacts. So when fear kicks in, it's the amygdala, it's that little acorn part of the limbic system that's working in overdrive, and uncertainty triggers many fear-producing emotions and behaviors. So your reptilian hindbrain, that's wired for only one thing, and that's to keep you alive, essentially, which is why safety and survival is paramount for your reptilian brain. So any uncertainty is seen as a threat that must be avoided. But what does all this mean? So it basically means, and these are the three things that you can take away from today. It means we view the world through these three lenses or barriers almost, and they are beliefs, emotions, and survival. Okay, that's all you need to remember. Sometimes survival instinct kicks in, and we see the world through survival. Sometimes our emotions are in overdrive, and we see the world through our emotional filters. Sometimes it's our beliefs and our thought processes. We have either positive thoughts or negative thoughts. We see the world through that filter of beliefs. Now, I can't really go into a lot more detail, but in my books that I've just launched last year in November, It's Up to You, Why Most People Fail to Live the Life They Want and How to Change It, and also The Banana Trap, which is essentially stress management techniques. I launched these last year, and I go into a lot more detail about the triune brain. So if you're interested, all you need to do is search for Zarsinus books on Google or Bing or whatever, Yahoo, whatever you use. Zarsinus books, Zarcinas books, and you will find these books, and I go into a lot more detail. But needless to say, your brain is wired against uncertainty, and all the three levels of those brains will work to build as much certainty as they can into your world, which is why the supermarket trolleys are full of toilet rolls and the shelves are empty of toilet rolls. It's a form of control in times of uncertainty, sort of an attempt to make things more certain. It's also why motivational levels sag, and faced with uncertainty, the forebrain, your forebrain, gets sort of overwhelmed with thoughts of what if this, what if that, and the midbrain emotions go into overdrive, and the hindbrain survival instincts start to dominate our thoughts and beliefs. All these three things are kicking in right here, right now. But what this means is, unfortunately, panic tends to sort of set in. And when the emotions run high and the neo-mammalian forebrain is subjugated by the lower levels of the brain, decisions are not made on rational logic, but on emotion and instincts. So I want you to remember that our decisions are being made not on rational logic, but on emotions and instincts. And in these moments, mountains are made out of molehills, and we act in ways that we normally wouldn't, and sometimes in ways that we are later ashamed of. And this is because our thought processes are hijacked, and we're not our normal selves. And this is because the mob is in charge and not the leader, not the higher brain centers. The lower brain centers are in control. So what's required, what we need to do in this situation is to regain control of our thoughts, our emotions, and our instincts. Okay, those three parts of our brain, our thoughts, emotions, and our instincts. But how do we do that? How do we do that? How do we regain control? Well, that's why I want to give you these three strategies to keep motivated and stay in control. So you need to allow your higher brain centers to override the lower brain centers. And the leader needs to take charge and set the rules, not the mob. And so knowing how the brain works we can formulate science-based strategies to keep motivated and stay in control during these certain times. So here we go. Let's get into strategy number one. Okay. Strategy number one is just sensible safety. I mean, the first thing you need to do is control your baser instincts. Okay. That's your survival instincts. This is your reptilian brain. We need to control it. So your reptilian brain sees the uncertainty of COVID-19 as a threat, and it triggers the fight and flight response. But what does your reptilian brain want most of all? It wants safety. So let's give it safety. That's all we need to do. We just need to give your reptilian, we need to feed it safety. So what we all need to do is focus on taking the simple precautions that reduce your risk of becoming infected. So we just need to do the simple things that you already know about. These are practicing social distancing, refraining from large crowds, minimizing your travel, keeping yourself healthy, hydrated, exercise, okay, and keep surfaces clean and shower regularly, because the coronavirus has been shown that it can live on clothes and surfaces and hair, well, for a few days, and there's some statistics are saying that it can even survive up to 17 days. So these are just the simple measures that you can help to reduce reactive instincts and behaviors, while at the same time elevating the higher response centers in your brain. So these are the reasons why you need to have sensible safety. So you reduce your reactive instincts and behaviors, and you elevate your higher centered thoughts and actions. Okay, that's what this is all about. And so if we've got that, this is the reason. This is the number one. There are two main reasons why we do this. Okay, so it's reducing reactive instincts and behaviors, at the same time elevating your higher centered thoughts. Okay, this is why you do this. This is why you take control of your reptilian brain. Okay, it's about getting back control. So strategy number two, this is all about your paleomammalian midbrain here. Okay, this is about your emotional center. Okay, getting control of your amygdala. Okay, because what we need to do, your paleomammalian midbrain, it sees the uncertainty of COVID-19 as a stressor, okay? And that triggers anxiety, stress, and fear, all right? The uncertainty triggers these things. It triggers that part of the brain. So your midbrain, it interprets uncertainty as a pain that it needs to avoid, okay? So your midbrain, it tries to seek pleasure, and it tries to avoid pain. That's what it does. That's what it's wired to do. So what are the things that it's trying to do? Will I get infected? Will I live? Will I be able to feed my kids? Will I lose my job? Will I be able to pay the mortgage and the rent? Okay. So what happens is that it creates a worst case scenario for your life. Okay. It projects a really bad ending for you and your family and your loved ones. That's what your emotional center is doing. But what does it want most? What does your paleomammalian midbrain want most of all? Well, it wants to seek pleasure, and it wants to avoid pain. Okay, so what we need to do then is give it some pleasure and make it avoid pain. Okay, but how do we do that? How do we do that? Well, that's what strategy 2 is all about. So we need to focus on the things that can reduce the anxiety, the stress, and the fear. Okay, these are the things that we can focus on. It's easier said than done, granted, but, and there you go. I've just given you a big clue. If you insert the word "but" at the end of a negative or thought-evoking, stress-evoking emotion, you can change the context of that negative emotion and change it into a more positive context with which your emotional midbrain will latch onto. Okay, and that's what it is. So Let's change the context. Let's show you what sort of the things that we can do to change the context of a negative emotional trigger. For instance, will I get infected? Okay, will I get infected? All right, well, that's a very emotionally powerful thing that triggers the midbrain. Well, I mean, as it stands, the transmission rates of COVID-19 are reasonably high. I mean, they're higher than normal flu, okay, but they're lower than some of the really, really bad ones out there, like Ebola, for instance. Like, so we're looking at maybe um, maybe a 5 to 10% transmission rate, as opposed to the flu, which can is sort of between 1 to 2%. Okay, so it is high, and here we go. But and here we go, we're changing the context here. But if you instigate the sensible precautions, like we just listed previously, if you instigate those sensible precautions, then hopefully you'll avoid getting infected. Okay. But even if you do, and here again, but again, changing the context, even if you do get infected, hopefully it's at a time when, in the future, when the medical system is not inundated, when we've got more immunizations are coming into play, when we've got more treatment options that are coming into play. See, this is why we're flattening the curve, you see, so that even if you do get infected, it's not going to be a worst case scenario for you, the community, for your family. Okay? So that's how we change the context with that question. Second question, um, will I live? Well, again, that's something we all need to come to terms with at some point. I guess we're not all immortal anyway, but hopefully we'll all survive through this pandemic as it is. But um, although anyone is susceptible, okay, granted, anyone is susceptible, even the young, but it's mostly the elderly, and it's mostly the ones who have chronic already got medical issues involved. But what I want to tell you is that the overall mortality rates that we're seeing is actually only between about 3 and 5%. So if you flip that, that means 97 to 95, 95 to 97% of people who actually get infected actually live. So it's what we are focusing on here that's important. Now, I know in Italy those statistics are a little bit higher, um, but there are some I've been reading lately, even this morning, actually, that um, there's a lot. I mean, Italy has got a quite unique situation. There's got quite an elderly population. Um, Also, that area in northern Italy has been well known for a long time to have chronic lung conditions because of the pollution that sits in the bowl beneath the Alps there. So there is, and also the Italians sort of live in sort of condensed, high populated areas. Even the little towns, everyone is quite close together. So there are distinctions at play. But what I want to say to you is just that more often than not, 95 to 90% of the time, you're going to get through this. I mean, that's just the statistics coming out of here. So let's just change the context. So what about the next one? Well, will I be able to feed my kids? Well, that is a really relevant question. I mean, but panic buying in the recent weeks, it's put a strain undoubtedly on the supply of food and basic household essentials. But at least in our Western countries, at least in Australia here, I've read things that the chain of supply hasn't been disrupted to any great extent. The problem is that we've set up a system called just-in-time delivery. So all these things are still available. They're still in warehouses, but they're not in your local supermarket. Your supermarket doesn't really store things anymore, and that has been the problem. The problem has been is that they've been stored outside, and we have to truck it in to get to the supermarkets, and that is the only reason why the supermarkets shelves are empty. It's not because we don't have it; it's just we can't get it to you quick enough. But as so the supply is still there, so we're not going to run out of food. Okay, so you'll still be able to feed your kids, feed your family. The next question: will I lose my job? wow, I mean, my goodness, I mean, just the queues outside of Centrelink, a million Australians are thought to will be losing their jobs. The Americans, apparently 3.3 million losing their job. It's a legitimate fear. It's a legitimate question to ask. Now, all I can say is that my business too, I mean, I run workshops, I run seminars, I run presentations. Now, basically, I run events, but so my business has been 90% of my business has been wiped out. I also, obviously, as some of you, as you know, I also run a publishing business, which thank goodness I can pretty much do from home in my home office, and I have staff that can do their work from their home office as well. So thank goodness that side of things. But from my own perspective and my own presentations, that's just been totally wiped. I mean, which means I have had to look for opportunities like this one, for instance. I've had to quickly get myself up to speed, as Adair Palmer, who's just been messaging me here, she will know. I've had to get up my speed really, really quickly on delivering these presentations online. So there are opportunities, and that's what I want to say. But even though things are happening, things are there. What are the opportunities? Look for the opportunities that have presented themselves. Look for the need that's out there in the community that you can fill. Okay, because there's always going to be need. Okay, so what is the need that you can fill? What is the opportunity that you can fill at this particular point? That sort of flows onto, doesn't it, other things. But what I want to do is I just want to show you that what these questions are just saying is that you can control your midbrain emotions, okay? You change your midbrain emotions by changing the context. And this allows your higher brain centers to take charge, okay? Because that's what's happening. Your emotions are in control. The mob is in control. So we need to change the context and allow the leader to take back in charge, which is your higher brain centers, okay? And that was what strategy number 2 is all about. So let's go to strategy number 3. And this is the last strategy. I keep things to 3 because it's simple. We can remember them. The first one, strategy number 1, simple safety. Number 2 is obviously change the context. And number 3 is focused certainty. Now, what is focused certainty? Well, it's basically controlling your thought processes, okay? Now, your neo-mammalian forebrain, that part here at the part, is often swamped with emotions and your natural instincts of your lower brain centers, and becomes inundated with negativity towards what's happening in this crisis, okay? So we start thinking lots and lots of negative thoughts. But what does your neo-mammalian forebrain want most of all? What does it really, really want? Well, it wants certainty. So let's give it certainty. Let's give your neo-mammalian, your thought process here, let's give it certainty. Well, how do we do that? How do we give it certainty? Well, we focus on what's certain, okay? We don't focus on what's uncertain. We focus on what's certain. So focusing, it allows your thoughts to override the emotions and instincts, okay? That's what we're doing here. We're allowing your higher centered thoughts to override the emotions and the instincts that have threatened to take control. The mob has threatened to take control. So let's take back control. So what are some things that we can focus on? Well, I mean, this is an unprecedented crisis in our generation. And it's causing mass uncertainty, without a doubt, on a global scale. But there are things, even though these things are happening, there are still things that are certain in your life. There are still certain things, and you can focus on them. Even the little things, okay? It stabilizes your mindset and it controls those whirring emotions. So what are some things that are certain in your life? Well, the first thing is, if you're listening to it, you are alive, okay? You're alive. You have a life force in you that's still there right now, in this moment. And this is a fact. This is certain. So focus on that. Focus on what's certain. You also have beliefs. Now, whether you're religious or an atheist or you're an agnostic, it doesn't matter. They're a belief system. Okay? you have those beliefs. So focus on those beliefs. Focus on those certainty of those beliefs. And that's a fact. The other thing is the sun will rise tomorrow. It will. We're not henny penny running around thinking that the roof is going to the sky is going to fall on our head. The world will turn, the world will spin, the sun will come up tomorrow. There is nature. There are things happening in nature. These are the things that are certain. Okay, this is a fact. Focus on that. And the last thing I wanted to say about this is that love exists. Okay. Now, whether you are loved, or you have been loved, or you love your family, or you love another person, or you love an animal, or you love God, there is love. This is a fact. This is certain. So focus on this. Because these are the benefits if you do. If you focus on these, you are going to control your thought processes, okay? You're not going to allow the mob to take control. You are in control. So you are going to prevent your mind from overwhelm. When you focus on what's certain, you are going to prevent your mind from overwhelm. And this is going to take back control, because this is what today is about. It's about taking back control in these uncertain times. So what can we do? At the end of the day, the COVID-19 crisis has shown us that we, all of us, the world, we're all in the same boat. We are all in the same boat. So this pandemic will pass. It will end at some point, and although the world will struggle back to its feet, it's you and the rest of society and myself who are going to be relied upon to keep motivated and stay in control during these uncertain times. And I've given you these 3 techniques to pass on, to pay it forward, to show people how to stay in control. Okay, so you can get through this. We can get through this. So what do I want you to do next? Okay, because we're coming to the end here. And if you don't mind, I just wanted to say that this week I've decided to run another series of webinars from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday next week from 7 o'clock Adelaide time, Central Australian Daylight Saving Time. So what I want you to do while you're here on Facebook, I just want you to go to the little left-hand side of the column, and in the side you'll see under your natural state of being, you'll see there's a little thing called groups on there. I just want you to click on those groups. They're right here, right now, and you're going to get taken to a page where it's going to be called, you'll see 2 groups. You'll see the Life Leaders group and you'll see the Breakthrough System group. I want you to click on the Breakthrough System group. Okay, and I just want to ask you to join. If you're interested in knowing a bit more about the Breakthrough System and how to stay more in control, then please just click join, and it will send me a request and I'll join you up to the group, and then you will receive a feed like this one that you're receiving right now on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week. And if you can't make them anyway, there will be replays that you can just watch anyway. Okay, we're going to go through the Breakthrough System. We're going to learn things about, we're going to talk a bit more about fears. Okay, we're going to talk a bit more about values. We're going to talk a bit about rewards. Remember we said pleasure and pain? We're going to go a bit more deeper into that, into more of the deeper rewards that we feel, and that give us a more sense of fulfillment and purpose. And we're going to talk about goals too. Goals that we can set during this time as well. So please, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I've gone a bit more over time than I thought I would, but please keep sending those messages for me, and I will endeavour to answer any of your questions that you have. And please, please, please join up to my group and my little Facebook group that we're going to have the Breakthrough System with, and I'll see you hopefully on Tuesday night for the series during the week. So here we are. Just to say, tips to stay well again, I'll leave you with this. Again, it's just the basics. Let's control our instincts, let's control our emotions, and let's control our thought process. Thank you very much, people. It's been great. It's been wonderful. Bye-bye.